Bell Crypto. Let me take a look over here, make sure we're streaming on X. Looks like we are. Let's see if we can hear it. Testing 1, 2, 3 over there. Good morning, happy Thursday. Yeah, looks like it's working. I like to put a little GM in the comments to get things fired up over there. Make sure I get it on my side. Yep, there we are. So welcome everybody. We have Thursday. I don't think it's going to be super eventful. Lots of stuff to cover. We're day 6 of the Iran war going on right now, right? So far, we're 14 minutes before the opening bell today. So far, I'm not seeing some massive fireworks, but we'll see. Lots of news happening. Lots of good stuff in that way. So we shall see. But I feel like it's kind of exciting, but I've been before, and a lot of things can change. We'll talk about, I would say, extremely well, all things considered. I feel like we're doing amazing with everything. You know, we're reviving that store of value kind of. We're reviving the store of value. Sorry, I'm trying to prop up my phone there. Yeah, that whole store of value is kind of, because as other things are kind of staying sideways or faltering, we're going on day 4 of excellent performance crypto. As you see, OKB, of course, up. We'll talk about that. There's some stuff going on with them in the New York Stock Exchange. Kite, I'm looking into. Irene, I don't know anything about. Looks like a meme coin. Up to number 99, just dipping into the top 100. But anyway, let's first go over and look at the. So we are in day 6 of the Iran conflict. The U.S. doing everything they can to bomb the Navy so they can't shut down the Straits of Hormuz. You probably saw there's a pretty crazy torpedo taking out a massive ship. Torpedo from a submarine, which I think is the first time that's happened since World War II. But basically, you could see the video. Like it looked like it actually detonated below it and just broke the ship right in half. Crazy, but anyway, that's just kind of, definitely the U.S. is degrading. They're saying that drones and missile strikes from coming out of Iran are down about 75%. So everything they can to degrade that, but they are still shooting some drones and missiles and whatnot. We'll talk about that. Their little drones have turned out to be quite a headache. They're little cheap $50,000 drones. I've got an article. We'll talk about that. But anyway, where we're at right now is now with 11 minutes before the opening bell. NASDAQ is down 0.55, Dow down 0.78, S&P down a half. So S&P, NASDAQ look down to open about half a point. As of right now, the Dow is looking to open down about 3/4. So let's go take a look at, go see how it's holding up. Coin, no. Clicked on Cyrene by accident. So Bitcoin 72,441. Look, I'm real happy that we're over 70,000, which is kind of a big even. 72, even better. There's some previous 72, some Fibonacci tracements. Look, I'm real. Sorry, I got people calling me with. Hopefully, it didn't mess up our stream. Shouldn't, because I'm not streaming from the phone. But anyway, yeah, we're. I feel pretty good about where we are now. We got as high as almost 74. You can see there we touched almost 74. So that would have been even better. But we're holding above 72, which is very bullish. Very bullish. And the longer we can do it, the better. But yeah, amazing. Look, we're 8% for the week. 8% for the week. Remember, of 60,000 week and a half ago. So, yeah, I'm happy with where we are, though so far, like I say, I'm going to call kind of an even kill day today. We'll see. It could get exciting. You never know. Kind of my upside factors. And like I say, we can solidly get over 74. We could do 77, 78. You know, if we can hold those levels, we can go much higher. Catalyst for the upside would be war getting resolved. There is some, we heard yesterday some rumors. I saw some more reports today that Iran would be willing to, their new leadership, what's left of their leadership, I should say, would be willing to kind of forego the nuclear bomb talk and development, enrichment, whatever that is, if the right framework could get set up. So that would be my uphill catalyst, or the passage of this Clarity Act, which Trump came out, we reported yesterday, extremely strong on that. Those are my two upside catalysts. But I like where we are, and I like the longer we can stay here. The downside, my downside still 60. If we, that big even number around 60, and of course the 50-week or 200-week moving average around 58 or so, 58.5, whatever it is today. That's kind of my downside levels. Downside would be obviously a real bad turn to this war, or the S&P, or the regular stock market taking a 10-12% plunge. That would definitely bring crypto down with it. But right now, crypto is doing good. We're going on day three, or I guess we say day four of kind of outperforming and acting like we've kind of wanted to. And once again, much of that could just be that we were so beat down. I mean, I think the RSI, which is, rates, relative strength index, it tells you if you're oversold or overbought when it's up and oversold when it's down. The most oversold it's ever been in the history of Bitcoin on the weekly. And those larger time frames typically are more meaningful. So we could have just been due for a bounce, or maybe people are seeing it for what it is. That disparity, when you get a big break in what the Bitcoin gold, Bitcoin silver, Bitcoin M2 money supply, Bitcoin S&P, when you see a big divergence, there's no reason with no fundamental changes, there's no reason that Bitcoin won't regain that, so that's kind of what's I think's happening. And maybe long-term Bitcoin showing strength. We've had a bad year. There's no question about that. Market manipulation, whatever, but nothing fundamentally has changed about Bitcoin. The government's not printing less money. No government is. And so, the fundamentals for Bitcoin, yeah, we aren't printing more Bitcoin. So I think that's going to continue to do. That's why, I see Bitcoin going to 1 million and beyond. So for me, I'm bullish. I just see this as sale. It's like you said, if you like Bitcoin at 126,000, you should love it here if you understand the fundamentals. If nothing about the fundamentals have changed. BNB 655 up half a point today. XRP 142.26. Got as high as almost touched 147, but up 1.3% today, up 0.5% for the week. XRP tends to be a little more volatile than the others. Up a little down. Solana up $90.88, got all the way at 93 and 3/4 there, 93.74, and good. There's some. They come out with some new statistics. I'll tell you what's really helping there was a report. I didn't delve deep into it, but there was a report about some of their validators, some of their latest metrics looking good. And what's really pushing Solana and maybe Ethereum for that matter is stablecoin adoption. You'll notice these stable coins like USDT can be on a lot of different exchanges, right? Tron is famous for moving a lot of USDT, though not much of anything else. Anyway, we also have Ethereum and obviously a lot of the chains layer, but Solana is, if you're staying on chain, a layer one, Solana is the fastest, cheapest chain. So it's seeing a lot of growth away from kind of meme coins, but which help cut its teeth on and help test it. But GM Satoshi Nakamoto from X, good friend there, said, GM, do you think the war can be won purely by air sea superiority, or would boots on the ground be required? I strongly doubt this will be done in 4 weeks either way. Yeah, interesting. This could drag on for years, right? Look at what's happened in Ukraine. Look at what happened in Iraq. I don't think though that's the calculation. I think they're just trying to make it so they're not a nuclear threat. I think they don't like all the ballistic missiles they were producing. But yeah, I don't know. I do not think we'll see U.S. boots on the ground. I think that would be, we've got midterms coming up, and Americans have no appetite for that. And Iran is a massive country, size-wise, geographically wise, and tons of mountainous terrain. So I just don't think that you can move an army into there effectively. And 80 plus million population. So yeah, I think they're trying to kind of spark more of a civil war. I think they just want to get some new leadership. We'll see. I don't think it can be won in 4 or 5 weeks, but I think that we may see some kind of peace deal before that, maybe even in the next few days, because especially with all the pressure this is putting on China, right? In fact, there's first off, let's start to look at some of the news here, right? And let's talk about it and give the market a few minutes to open. But sorry, hitting on BitU next with my couple of my grid bots here. Look, we talked about this yesterday. Trump says banks will not be allowed to undermine the administration's crypto agenda. Obviously, that's a big catalyst. That is, he's pushing hard for that. He has to. If they want people to buy their treasury bills, they need the U.S. to be one of the main hubs for that. But here we see, kind of answer your question, Satoshi. We see here that China is to send a special envoy to mediate and help resolve the war in Iran. This is the biggest loser here is China, because they get so much right on, especially on the energy side. They're a huge importer of energy, right? And billions of people there, and most of their oil comes from Iran, and they were getting a ton, of barrels from Venezuela. Now that's been shut down. So this is actually also a shot at China as well. I think that's a big part of Trump's calculation to kind of slow China down. But yeah, I think it gets resolved. I think this is all just, and we can't just, I think this is a negotiation tactic on Trump's side. And I do think they did want to degrade their ability to have nuclear warheads. And obviously, even just their missiles, their ballistic missile program was getting pretty robust. Though we are seeing, I don't have any pull on the articles directly, but what we are seeing is some of the Chinese missile defense systems and stuff are failing. So it shows that people are actually canceling some they had on order. So maybe China's some of their missile defenses weren't good. And to be honest with you, the problem with it's like, what is the saying? Like, to someone with a hammer, everything looks like a nail, or to a kid with a hammer, everything looks like a nail. When you start building up these militaries, they're going to want to use them. I mean, make no doubt about it, this is going to be a boom for everyone's. The U.S. missile defense systems are working great, but burning billions and billions and billions of dollars of missiles, those are going to all have to be replenished, right? I saw Italy yesterday. We saw that some of these missile defense systems are being sent over from, they're coming over from Korea and Japan, Asia, because they're not necessarily needed right now. And now I saw also Italy supplying some to some of these Gulf countries because they're using a lot of them. So I think that given this war and everything, I think we're going to see everyone boosting their missile defense. Even that's this whole Greenland, we're taking over Greenland thing by Trump. He wants that to set up a missile defense system like the Iron Dome or whatever Israel is using. But man, but yeah, some of China's stuff hasn't been looking too good. U.S. definitely has the highest tech stuff. And these, we're seeing in this modern world, we're seeing how important it is for countries to have a robust stockpile. We talk about a strategic Bitcoin reserve. We always have strategic energy reserves. And yeah, they obviously need a literally strategic missile reserves as well. I think we're going to see more in that area. But China's going to move heaven and earth to get it done, because this is hurting them. I didn't pull up the chart, but they halted all their exports of diesel and gas because they're going to need everything they can. So they burn an amazing amount of energy in their economy. And so, yeah, that's it. I think you're taken out like the same day. Now you got, it's not, and a big portion of their old government taken down. But we'll see what happens. Day 6. Let's get this thing settled, man. Also, let's not forget, we're here just all we're concerned about, or not all we're concerned about. All we're concerning our reporting and our discussion about is, of course, the economic sides and how it affects crypto. But there's innocent people getting blown up, and economies being hurt and everything like that. I mean, that ship, pretty amazing, got blown up, but there was like 150 people on there that are dead now. Most of them, I think there's only like 20 or 30 survivors out of like 160 or 180. So that's 100 people that freaking got blown up and drowned. Whether you look at them as good guys or bad guys, that's not cool. So, and then they're at least military targets. There's people here that have nothing, just trying to go about their lives like us, feed their families, get ahead, and they're getting hit. So, war is not a good thing. Let's get this thing resolved. Now this is interesting, and this is something that I think was a miscalculation on the U.S. and Israel and everyone else's size, and very ingenious on the side of Iran. And what's kind of keeping them in this fight is, Iran's Shahed 136 kamikaze drones are forcing U.S. allies in the Persian Gulf to burn through millions in defense. The drones cost $20,000 to $50,000 each. Each interceptor missile costs $3 million to $12 million. The UAE has detected 941 Iranian drones since the war started. 65 fell within its territory, damaging ports, airports, hotels, and data. U.S. official says Iran has launched over 200,000 drones, 2,000 drones. And then they, goes on to say the U.S. actually reverse engineered these and using them. Now, the reason they're so cheap is there's kind of shit, right? As far as I'm sure they're targeting and everything payload. I don't see the U.S. ever, even though they have improved them and they're using their design. Part of the reason it's effective is they don't care if it hits a civilian target or whatever. They're just sending them out there, right? It's literal junk. But it's really going to change the calculus of the war. If you think about it, it's now drone. You can't have these $12 million interceptor missiles, $12 million each, taken down a $20,000 to $50,000 drone, right? You can just be overwhelmed. These drones, you can put hundreds of them in a semi truck or whatever, or, in a pickup truck, you could probably move a few and launch them from anywhere, right? So that is something that's, I think that everyone needs to stop and reevaluate. I think that the U.S. grossly, I think they've said as much. They underestimated this threat. And you can see the economics of it. Now, something else, and this is what UAE said yesterday. UAE successfully intercepts 6 of 7. I think this was today. They're ahead of us. I think, and they probably are doing on 24-hour things, but they intercepted 6 of 7 ballistic missiles and 125 of 131 drones on March 5th. So their defenses are holding up, but they're spending, hundreds of millions to send down a few $1 million worth of drones. But obviously, most important to them is their people and their infrastructure isn't getting taken out. This last thing here, and then we'll go in. Well, back to this, actually. Let's see now the market going. Market's been open. My vibe, my feeling, and I've been first hour to hour or two of trading. You kind of never know what's going to happen, but NASDAQ now open. Almost, actually, no. Let's refresh this. It's actually flat, a little better than we thought. It looks. Let me refresh this, just slightly. Yeah. So it actually opened up a little better, as did the Dow. So we're just almost flat. I would call this almost flat. And we may have a flat, boring day, and that's okay, especially if Bitcoin can hold and maintain above 72,000. Keep in mind, too, that's a flat kind of sideways action. That money then rotates down into altcoins. So, yeah, I would say this is looking decent. It looks like the Dow's down about 0.61, S&P down about a quarter. Let's see how Bitcoin is reacting here. Bitcoin 72,613. If we look at the that's the daily chart, let's look at the hourly chart, and we can see actually a little bit of a bump in the last 8 minutes. So so far, so good. 72,616. We're up 8.2% for the week, 1% for the day, and 0.2 since the market opened. Ethereum, let's look at that same hour chart. 2,123. Remember, we got all the way down to low 18s, right, in the last days. We're now up 4 point week, 1.8 for the day, and 0.4 for the hour. Look, BNB 656, 5.6 for the week, 0.7, 0.2. XRP, a lot of people love XRP, especially over there on TikTok. Like I said, I've said it a million times. I like XRP. I don't love XRP, but I do like some of the new directions they're going, trying to become a bank stable coin, things like that. We'll see how much of the global settlement layer they become. They'll definitely take a part in it, but we now have cheap, fast, stable coins that I think will solve that. Got some news articles. XRP, $1.43.4, up 1% a week, 1.1% for the day, 0.6%, which has kind of been outperforming everything else. 6.1% for the week, 0.7 for the day, 0.3 for the hours. So I'm saying I'm going to call this a win thus far. We'll look at some news. We'll come back and check on it before we end here on the Good or Opening Bell Crypto Show. By the way, thank you everyone that's listening to us live over on YouTube. Rumble, and of course on X. Appreciate everybody. Feel free to comment if you ever want to say, introduce yourself, or make a comment or ask a question. I think as this show grows, we'll try and start it a little earlier and leave a few minutes for questions towards the end, or throughout it as that plays out. So yeah, looks like thousands of Iraqi Kurdish forces have launched a ground offensive into Iran. Once again, it was rumored that the CIA was arming and the U.S. government was arming these Kurds. Now, I don't know what their motivation is. I guess they just don't like Iran, and they've got an ongoing beef with Iran. It's interesting. I don't think the Kurds really have a set. They kind of drift around through Iraq and up around Turkey and here as well. So I don't know what their motivation is, but they obviously are being armed, if rumors are true, by the U.S., and they're going in and fighting. I think they just don't like Iran. But anyway, like I say, we'll see. So there is some boots on the ground, albeit not American boots. This is interesting to me, and maybe that whole new war narrative, right? And there's some weird stuff, as you remember. There's some weird stuff happened down in Venezuela. They didn't talk much about it, but like their people, the guards and stuff for like around the president's palace, they got sick or something. So I don't know if there's some sound wave stuff going on there, but this is very interesting. Laser weapons are getting their first real workout in Operation Epic Fury. The new U.S. Navy's Helios system on a destroyer off Iran's coast is reportedly zapping drones out of the sky with pinpoint energy beams. Is being credited for a lot of the Iranian missile and drone debris raining down harmlessly across the region. This is next level stuff. Satellite spot launches, cyber teams jam radar, lasers fry incoming threats. And it's why the U.S. and Israel have kept boots off the ground while taking out 1,700 targets with mineral losses. So I thought that was 1,700 targets with this laser, but no, I think that's total targets hit in 5 days, going on 6 days. It is pretty amazing what they've been able to do. But I mean, obviously you have the two most sophisticated airport forces in the world, probably the strongest military and navy in the world, bombarding them. But this is interesting tech. And I think this laser tech and drone technology and probably robots are going to change the whole calculus. So this is super interesting stuff here with the war. But anyway, the war rages on. That's going to continue to affect us, and that's kind of the macro thing we're all keeping an eye on and praying and keeping our fingers crossed that something gets resolved here. I mean, ultimately, I'd love to see a new. I'd love to see regime change to the point. I think that the U.S. is maybe willing to accept a kind of a defanged, less aggressive Iranian regime, maybe even similar in leftover parts of what the original regime was. However, I would like to see personally, I'd like to see a more by the people, for the people type thing happen. I'd like to see the Iranian people themselves have a little more freedom, have a little more economic, mobility to the upside, things like that. I'd like to see them kind of get integrated into the modern world. I mean, they're right there. They're just literally a stone throw away from Dubai. I would like to see them kind of begin to get a little more freedoms there. But anyway, billionaire Elon Musk confirmed X Money's wallet will allow transfers, deposits, and borrowing. X could become half of the world's financial system. He has a huge idea here, and it is kind of going back to his PayPal roots if you think how he started, how he made his first couple of billion or whatever, right? But I don't know, man. I'll tell you, I'm not as bullish as I was on it, just seeing what a terrible job he's done so far with X as far as the algorithm, monetization, making people happy. Some of us here, some of the most hardcore advocates, and I'll always support Elon just because he has done a ton for freedom of speech, and I would like to see this work. And I think if he focuses on it, gets the right people there, it could be successful. I do think it'll be massive just because of the hundreds of million people on X. I just like to see him just do a little bit better job. I'm kind of feeling, if you think about Microsoft throws a bunch of shitty software out there, right? And you just have to kind of deal with it because everyone uses it. Apple throws out good hardware, software, everything. It all works, and you have very little. They don't put stuff out till it works, and I feel like X is Microsoft vibes, and I converted over to Apple years ago. So, but anyway, wish him luck, and it's going to be massive, and it's definitely going to integrate crypto as well. So, all you Doge fans out there, that's really your only catalyst. So, other than you're the OG meme, and a lot of people, all about stable coins. Now it's all about and stable coin, AI, this whole AI agent thing, it's going to run on Bitcoin, stablecoin, crypto of some, and it's going to have to be fast and cheap. So, Solana's been a huge beneficiary of this, as will some of the other faster chains. Obviously, the biggest beneficiary is Ethereum. Unfortunately, they're still slow and expensive, but they're getting better. But anyway, stablecoin volume on CEXs, centralized exchanges, have reached incredible levels this year. USD1, which is, of course, the Trump boys' World Liberty Fi, hit 8.6 billion in February on Binance. Might have been the reason right there why CZ got pardoned, to be honest with you, because he's the biggest exchange out there and he's friendly to USD1. I'm sure that had to play at least some kind of factor in him getting noticed, if not getting pardoned. Anyway, they have more than 21 billion cumulative since launch, so they timed it well. They really, I don't own a bunch of World Liberty Fi, and I'm not super bullish on it, but I am beginning to dabble and keep an eye on it just because they're stable coin. If we go over here to crypto and look at it, by the way, how's Bitcoin? Down a little bit, but nope. Yeah, it dropped a little bit. Now we're kind of fighting for that 72. We'll see what happens. But if you look, we got Tether at number 3 at 184 billion, basically. We have USDC Circle doing a great job at number 6, 77 billion, about 2.5, not a little less than 3x down. And then we have USD1 there at 4.62 billion at number 20. DAI, which is kind of rhythmic state, is there at 4.2 billion. The next one is, I believe the next stable coin is going to be Ripple. Yeah, Ripple USD1. Yep, RRUSD, I believe, is the ticker symbol there. RLUSD, yeah. So it's sitting at number 6 at 1.58 billion. So anyway, let's go back and look at TradFi real quick. I'm assuming they're probably gotten a little worse. Let's see where we're at. As Bitcoin's taking a little bit of dip, but like I say, these first couple, we're winding down. There is a jobs report coming out tomorrow. About it. Other than nothing happening with ongoing war, unfortunately, in the Middle East. Yeah, not too bad. One to the negative. Dow's as the S&P down about a third. So still holding strong. Still, I would figure what I like relatively bullish. I'm like, make sure I didn't skip anything here. Nope. Here, Senator Loomis out of Wyoming. Senator Loomis told CNBC Congress is now working to eliminate capital gains on Bitcoin payments. We want Bitcoin to be a mean of exchange. BTC competing with the US dollar not priced in. So trying to come out, listen to this. She said, I would play it for you, but the way I do it, I last time I got really bad audio for some reason. I'm not sure why that is. But anyway, I'll just tell you that I will test this in the future, though, so I can play you some clips. But anyway, she basically saying, yeah, they want to make it so where it can be used as kind of what Satoshi's vision, or maybe Jack Dorsey, is that they want, there's not really capital gain. You bought Bitcoin. I bought Bitcoin at $3,000. Okay. I bought one Bitcoin at $3,000. Now that Bitcoin is worth $72,000. So I want to spend it. I want to go out and buy some coffee with it. I want to go out and buy a new speaker, a new microphone. They're trying to make it so that there will not be capital gains on that. And I think they're going to try and keep it under like $300 transaction. They're trying to find that balance to make it more like a currency, which you think about it, that would be ideal for us, right? To where, I'd love to see no capital gains. Honestly, if the U.S. would do that, they would just absolutely dominate. How about no capital gains on tax? Because think about it, then everyone moves here, everyone's spending it here, and that boosts the economy anyway, right? Like, don't tax. If they were to go no capital gains across the board, that'd be massive. Though I don't see them talking about that at this point. But this would be massive. So I hope she gets her way. Man, what a visionary she is. I don't think she's going to go for a second term. Senators, I believe, are 6 years. If my political science degree is any my years of studying political science in college, I believe it's 6-year terms. I don't know how much longer she has, but I did think she said she's not going to seek re-election, but a huge advocate and visionary for crypto. My favorite senator, one of my favorite, if not my favorite senators by far, constantly out in crypto. $1 trillion MUFG MUFG announces use of AI for loan reviews and a joint stablecoin proof of concept with 3 mega banks. So I believe they're a big lender, not used to spend a little bit of time in Asia. Anyway, they're a $3 trillion, I believe, lender, borrower, and they're going to use AI to help review their loan contracts, as well as they're working on a joint stablecoin concept. So once again, we are seeing adoption. So even on a day like today, which we said there's only really about one exciting day a month per se, where we had like a $6,000 6% day yesterday in crypto, right? But having said that, there's still adoption. There's still this wave, this tidal wave is still growing, and it's going to take time. And that's okay. We can all get more. We reported yesterday that STRC, Michael Saylor's preferred stock, where I think right now brought in 200 million yesterday, right? So that's gaining a little bit of traction, and basically he pays out 11.5% because he believes overall he's making 30% over the next 20 years. So he's happy to pay. I think they're raising it just to get. I think that raising the rate is what's caused this. It's enough money to. So that's what he's doing. He's taking this money. He's buying Bitcoin, and it's just an innovative way to do it. And like I say, I think it's going to work out for him. I've thought of putting some money in it, 1.5%, just to have a little bit of, you have that revenue to to spend to cover my daily expenses. I'm thinking of maybe in there. But shout out to Sailor. New York Stock Exchange parent company ICE changes all the world. They're in Bitcoin exchange. They're going to invest in OKX at all. Look at crypto. If we get the bubble, 72. 72.5, so we had a little bounce, but that's why, which is the coin of the exchange token, up to $2.21 billion. So they're big. They're literally coming. Saudi Arabia, of course, you know, they have the advantage that they have another. They're not just stuck in the Straits of Hormuz. There, they're able to. They have another way they can get their oil out. So they've diverted millions of barrels of crude oil to their port on the Red Sea coast. So they are not completely landlocked or whatever. They're not just only. Of course, it costs money. You know, you move these barrels and stuff. It's always a thing. So still, the best thing is to get this whole thing resolved and happen quickly. I hope that does happen. All the time. This is our Fiddy out there in SoCash, and Fiddy posted this. And this is crazy when you see it, man. I don't even know if this does the scale, but right there, when you drive west of Vegas, about 40 miles, there's a little border town called Prim, Primm. Okay. And that Prim is, I think there's 4 casinos. One of them shuts down. There's actually, I think 2 of 3 casinos. Only maybe 1 is, but I think they're all owned by the same people who owns a bunch of gas stations in California and Arizona. Anyway, they have casinos out there. Just as you know, it's just your typical border casinos. We have them on all the borders, every place where a major freeway crosses. We have one here 2 hours from me called Wendover. And it's a little border casino. I can drive 2 hours and be playing craps. There's 5 or 6 casinos out there. And there's nothing else. There's nothing else there but casinos. Same thing with Prim. But there's also this massive solar project where they literally had this tower up on a barrel of water, 73,000 mirrors that move and deflect all the sunlight, and they concentrate the heat up onto the top of those towers. See that? That's a good picture of it right there. And then it's steam, and then it runs a turbine, which basically generates electricity. So an interesting way, and it's really cool when you're flying over it or driving over it. I might have filmed it when I was flying over it one of the last 2 trips. I'll have to look for that. But anyway, another failure of the sustainable energy. They spent $2.2 billion. It ran 11 years, and it was supposed to be the future. It basically tanked, and in the meantime burned, torched, lasered out thousands of birds flying through there. Because imagine you're a bird minding your own business, much like the windmills. They look like they're moving so slow that the birds get chopped up in those windmills, because it looks like it's moving slow, but because they're so massive, right? If you've ever seen one of those, blades, it takes they got to shut down the freeway and it runs on these. They're just massive, like 100 yards long, 100 meters long. Anyway, they look like they're going slow. They chop up the birds. This is such an intense ray of light, much like the lasers, but much more less intense, but basically fried a lot of birds. Anyway, so another failure for Gavin Newsom and California and the green energy movement, which is crazy. Now they're going to have to go. Now they're going to have to go reclaim all this. That's a massive. Think of the tens of millions of dollars it's going to take for them to go restore this back to how it was. So basically, it's just a big nightmare now. Big, and then they got to go dump all these mirrors somewhere. But anyway, a big failure for the Green New Deal. But anyway, interesting. I just put it on there because I drive by it all the time when I drive. And Haley Lennon is a lawyer out here. She kind of shed a little more. Kraken's big news. Oh, geez, the hour. So anyway, she just kind of talks about how Kraken now doesn't need a bank intermediary. They can settle directly online, and got a hard stop. GM Bitcoin Crypto Show had been for years. Bitcoin ETF billion in 3 days. Bitcoin, and it's legit. We've got Andreessen Horowitz A16Z, the actual A16Z, not the meme coin. They're looking to raise $2 billion for their fifth crypto fund. And last but not least, I thought this was cool. Our guy Jensen Huang on an interview said Bitcoin is taking excess energy and storing it as a new form of currency. You can take it anywhere, transporting value across the world. So he's talking bullish. Well, hey, thank you, Evan, for joining me. Happy Thursday for you. Get out there, touch some grass. It looks like it's going to be boring. We never know, though. Thanks, everyone, on over there on X, on YouTube for following me live. Feel free to join me on the GM Bitcoin Show. We'll be there talking today, some of the same stuff.